So what happens when your offer is accepted to purchase a home? When do you get the keys and what happens next? Well, if you are watching this video, there's a good chance that your offer was accepted. So on behalf of myself and YouTube's Living in OC, congratulations. This is the first step of many before you get the keys to your new home. In this video, I'm going to take a look at all of those next steps to expect before closing. So let's jump right into it. After your offer is accepted, you now enter into your due diligence period. This is typically 17 days, but it can be shorter or longer depending on what was drawn up in your specific contract. This gives you the time to inspect and investigate that property. You're going to want to hire a proper home inspector, a termite inspector, and even maybe a pool, AC, or roof inspector depending on the property's condition. You can have the peace of mind knowing that if anything deal-breaking is found during that due diligence period, you can typically cancel your contract and receive your full deposit back. Now, speaking of the deposit, you will have to pay an earnest deposit to show the sellers that you are a serious buyer. The earnest deposit is typically around 1% of the purchase price, but this can be higher or lower depending on what was negotiated on your purchase contract. The title company will reach out to you in order to pay your deposit. This typically needs to be paid within about 48 hours of the offer's acceptance. The title company offers all sorts of different ways that you can pay that deposit, even including paying directly from your cell phone. The title company holds on to your deposit and it's then credited back to you at closing towards your closing costs or your down payment. Now, there are many contingencies throughout the process that protect your deposit. Say your lender is not able to approve your loan, some deal-breaking things come up during the inspection, or the home doesn't appraise. Most of the time you can cancel your contract for those reasons and receive that deposit back. It is important to point out that that is the case unless you are paying cash or you waived your right to those contingencies in your offer. Now, once you've paid your deposit and you've completed the home inspections, the next step is to send your request for repairs. Now, the request for repairs is one of the most important documents in the purchase agreement. This gives you the opportunity to ask the sellers for repairs if any items were found. This is typically for safety concerns or items that do need to be repaired or replaced. But with that said, it does not give the buyers an opportunity to ask for things that are just cosmetic updates, for example, or things that just do not need to be repaired. So if you want a new AC unit just to have one and the current one's working just fine, you're not going to necessarily get away for asking for something like that. Now, once you have submitted that request for repairs to the seller, they then have usually about 5 days to respond. They can choose to accept, decline, or approve select items. They can even give you a credit towards those repairs at the closing. Now, the way that you go about asking for that request for repairs from the seller is going to be very important. If you ask for too many things or just a bunch of little things, you run the risk of upsetting that seller and them saying no to everything. If the seller does not approve of all of your requests, you can typically get another opportunity to cancel the contract and receive that earnest deposit back. When you are through those repair negotiations, then your lender, if you are financing, will typically then order your home appraisal. This is typically a cost that your lender will require you to pay up front. There are several out-of-pocket expenses before closing, such as the earnest money deposit, those inspection fees, and the appraisal fee. Now, that appraiser will go out to the property, they'll take pictures, they'll verify the square footage, and they will put together a detailed report. Now, this can take about a week to get back, and if that appraisal does come back and it doesn't appraise for your contract price, that may be an issue for your lender in being able to lend you the money against that property. This could result in more cash at closing, a lower down payment, or the seller to come down in price. If there is not an option that works for you, or the seller is just not willing to come down in price, then the appraisal contingency is one of those other options that gives you the right to cancel the contract and get your deposit back. Now, once you are past the inspections and the appraisal, you are getting very close to the finish line, and a lot of my clients start to get excited at this point because you are very close to that finish line. A lot of the major steps are out of the way, but the next step is to get your final loan approval. Your lender will then be asking you for all types of different documents and signatures. Now, at this point, it's very important not to make any big purchases during this time frame. Throughout the entire home buying process, it's going to be very important that you do not open any new lines of credit, take on any debt, or like I said, make any big purchases during this time. Now, once your lender does have your final loan approval, you'll now start to be able to sign your final disclosures, and the title company will start to prepare your final closing documents. It's common for my clients to never actually believe it's happening until they are at that title company and signing those documents with the notary. So it's certainly an exciting day for sure, and that title company will reach out to you to schedule that signing. If you are out of state, you can sign with a notary pretty much anywhere. Before closing, it is important to do a final walkthrough at the home. This gives you the opportunity to ensure the home is in the similar condition that all items convey, such as the curtain rods, the appliances, just that everything is still there and in the condition as agreed upon. You will also want to start calling the utility companies at this point to start transferring those utility bills, electric, gas, water, into your name. Now, these are just a few of the big steps to prepare for when buying a home. There is a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and it's definitely important that you have an experienced realtor on your side throughout every step of this process. Also, as a side note, it's almost impossible to determine when your home will close exactly. I like to say, anytime before 5 o'clock. So you may not want to schedule movers for that closing day because we don't know exactly when you're going to get the keys in hand. If you do have any questions whatsoever about the buying process or just what it's like to live here in Orange County, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I help people relocate and buy homes in this area for a living, and I absolutely love what I do. Other than that, if you did find any value in this video, please hit that thumbs up button for me. It helps me out tremendously, and definitely consider subscribing as I am dropping multiple videos a week for all things living in Orange County, California. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.